Ukrainian drones struck one of Russia's largest oil refineries overnight into Sunday, according to both Ukraine's military and Russian officials. The attack is the latest in a series of Ukrainian strikes targeting Russian oil infrastructure in recent weeks, which Kyiv says fuels the Kremlin's invasion. The Kyryshia refinery in Russia's northwestern Leningrad region is one of the country's top 3 refineries by output. The facility, operated by Surgutneftegas, produces close to 18 million metric tons of crude per year. Ukraine's military says their strikes caused explosions and set a portion of the facility on fire. Russian officials say they downed over 80 Ukrainian drones, 3 of them above the facility, and say the fire was caused by the falling debris. Moscow did not detail the extent of the damage, but noted that no civilians were injured or killed in the attacks. The final stage of the Spanish Vuelta cycling race was abandoned on Sunday after pro-Palestine demonstrations repeatedly interrupted proceedings. Protesters knocked down barricades and occupied the roads at several points across the course. Clashes erupted between protesters and the more than 1,500 police officers deployed to secure the event. The protests forced riders to disembark their bikes ahead of a mostly ceremonial ride into the capital, Madrid. Speaking at an event in Andalusia prior to the final stage taking place, Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez weighed in on the matter and expressed his support for the protesters. The Spanish premier was heard saying, quote, "Our admiration and respect should be with the people who mobilize for just causes like that of Palestine and Gaza." Protesters say they took to the streets to oppose the participation of an Israeli team at the event, while a genocide perpetrated by their government unfolds in Gaza. They demanded an immediate end to the assault on the enclave, which according to the latest figures, has claimed the lives of just under 65,000 people. Protesters are also demanding an increase in the flow of aid and medical supplies to the Strip to alleviate the horrid humanitarian crisis. The protests come as the Israeli army launched a fresh offensive on Gaza City, which seeks to occupy the city. Danish cyclist Jonas Vingegaard of the Jumbo-Visma team, who was leading by over a minute, was crowned champion of the event.
5 U.S. fighter jets landed at the former Roosevelt Roads base in Ceiba, Puerto Rico on Saturday, amid escalating tensions between the U.S. and Venezuela. The deployment comes as part of a ramping up of U.S. military presence in the Caribbean, which U.S. President Donald Trump says is aimed at fighting drug trafficking. Meanwhile, on Saturday, Venezuelan Foreign Minister Iván Gil said a U.S. warship intercepted and occupied a Venezuelan fishing boat, which he said was sailing in Venezuelan waters. Caracas says it was an attempt to justify an escalation of war in the Caribbean. Also on Saturday, Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro called for a massive military training day. Thousands of militiamen took part in maneuvers organized on the Plan Independencia 200 in response to Washington's actions, according to Maduro. The U.S. currently has 8 warships and a nuclear-powered submarine off Venezuela's coast.
Palestinian Oscar-winning director Basil Adras said Israeli soldiers conducted a raid at his home in the occupied West Bank on Saturday. They had asked Adras' wife for his whereabouts and searched her phone, the Palestinian director said, adding that his 9-month-old daughter had been home during the time of the raid. Adras said that he had been at the hospital with family members who were injured when Israeli settlers attacked his village moments earlier when he found out that the soldiers had stormed his home. The West Bank, East Jerusalem and Gaza have been under Israeli military occupation since 1967. Since then, Israel has built well over 100 settlements that are home to more than 500,000 Israeli settlers. Palestinians seek all 3 to be part of an independent Palestinian state and view the continued expansion of illegal Israeli settlements as a major obstacle to a 2-state solution. The Israeli occupation of Palestinian territories is illegal under international law. Pope Leo XIV celebrated his 70th birthday from St. Peter's Square at the Vatican on Sunday, where he blessed the faithful gathered for prayer and thanked them for their good wishes. Many gathered in the square with birthday banners and balloons.
Carissimi, sembra che sappiate, oggi compio 70 anni. Rendo grazie al Signore, ai miei genitori e ringrazio quanti hanno avuto un ricordo nella preghiera.
Speaking in an interview released on his birthday, Pope Leo XIV reflected on the huge learning curve he has taken on as pontiff. History's first American pope said he had quickly found his footing as a pastor for the Universal Catholic Church, but discovered the diplomatic job of being pope was more challenging. Tens of thousands of people attended a live concert held in the Vatican St. Peter's Square, followed up by a spectacular drone show. The concert lineup included Pharrell Williams with the Voices of Fire Gospel Choir, Andrea Bocelli and John Legend. Over 3,000 drones then lit up above the Sistine Chapel, an impressive light display breaking centuries of tradition. The show concluded the World Meeting on Human Fraternity, a two-day gathering that brought together people from around the globe to reflect on humanity in an age defined by social and environmental challenges, as well as rapid technological progress.
My brother.
To stay or to go home, that's the dilemma facing Syrians living in Europe. After Bashar al-Assad's fall in late 2024, 159 Syrians voluntarily returned from Belgium, according to the Belgian Federal Agency for Asylum Seekers. Originally from Idlib, Ahmad flew to Lebanon in 2012 after being imprisoned and tortured for taking part in protests against the Ba'athist regime. Having settled in Belgium 9 years ago, the Belgo-Syrian now works in the IT sector in Ghent. He plans to return to Syria in a few years to help rebuild the country through his association.
I would like to publish the democracy in the Middle East, and especially like in Syria. It's my country. It was already my dream since the start of the revolution.
Aisha fled Syria at 13 in 2011 after her father joined anti-regime protests. She spent 7 years in Turkey before moving to Antwerp through family reunification. Now a communications student, she hopes to visit Syria but rules out permanent return due to insecurity, limited economic opportunities and the prospect of starting over for a third time after losing everything.
How are you expecting a place who have been in war for 14 years to be safe for people? It's not even like life there is not stable. There is no job, there's no work, there's nothing. And some people have literally sold everything they had to be here. I know friends who sold their homes and cars and everything they had so they have the money to come to Europe.
Syrians have filed few asylum applications in the EU this year. Following Bashar al-Assad's fall, the European Union Asylum Agency reports they are no longer the largest group of asylum seekers, overtaken by Venezuelans and Afghans. Still, the agency warns that some Syrians remain at risk of persecution. British boxing legend Ricky Hatton has been found dead at his home in Hyde, Greater Manchester. Greater Manchester Police said that his death is not being treated as suspicious. The 46-year-old former light welterweight and welterweight world champion was one of the most popular boxers in British history. The news comes 2 months after he announced he would make a return to boxing in December.
This 90-year-old modernist building in Brussels, which once housed the Citroën garage and car showroom, is being renovated to become the Belgian's capital's first museum of contemporary and modern art, scheduled to open in November 2026. After the federal government refused to make available its collection from that period, the Canal Foundation turned to international partners, eventually signing a 5-year contract with France's Pompidou Center.
Depuis 2018, la Fondation Canal, que je dirige, crée une collection publique d'art contemporain ici à Bruxelles, qui n'existait pas jusqu'à aujourd'hui. Mais on s'est dit, pour pouvoir lancer ce projet, il serait bien d'avoir un partenaire international, pas belgo-belge, parce que ça n'a pas marché avec le Musée royal des Beaux-Arts. Et donc, après de multiples contacts et rencontres et de multiples discussions, c'est avec le Centre Pompidou que nous avons décidé de faire ce partenariat.
As well as showing works from the Parisian institution along with its own collection, the museum aims to be an arts and cultural hub and stage music, dance and theatre performances. But there is also the so-called external project to promote social cohesion in nearby neighborhoods with considerable socio-cultural diversity and pockets of poverty.
C'est pas simplement créer un lieu et ouvrir les portes et dire « venez », c'est aussi tout un travail que les équipes mènent depuis maintenant plus de 8 ans, de travail dans les écoles, dans les associations de quartier, au contact des jeunes, des communautés autour de nous, à Molenbeek, à Laken, dans le quartier nord, pour répondre aux besoins, mais aussi pour co-créer ou co-construire des projets, artistiques ou pas.
Half of the 40,000 square meter facility was set aside for people to enjoy amenities, ranging from restaurants, a children's playground and a library.
In the first quarter of 2026, the cultural program will be unveiled. Around 120 years of cultural creation will be made available in the exhibition area, and many more activities will be disclosed. Isabel Marques da Silva, Euronews, Brussels.